there has to be this effort that's put in of trying to do the best I can with where I'm currently at so I can continue to improve. And if you do that, you walk off the court every single time knowing that you won.
Hello, everyone. We are Greg and Jackie Francis, and welcome to High Performance Parenting, where our passionate goal is to encourage you to raise champion children in a crazy world. Every week, we will bring you multiple episodes from our extensive experience of raising our six happy, healthy, successful, godly kids who are confidently equipped to win big in life.
We deeply believe that any parent who is provided with the right knowledge and continual support can raise amazing kids. And when they do, all of our futures get better. If raising up future generations of absolute champions matters to you as much as it does to us, here's how you can contribute. Like and share this podcast with everyone you know. And together, let's embrace this journey of raising champion kids in a crazy world.
Good morning, Crissy Lou.
Good morning, Dad.
How are you doing?
Good. How about you?
Is it nice not having to share the microphone?
Very, very nice.
There's two of you here. But,
I can have it to my height and the way I want it. I don't have to go like this. It's great.
Yeah. I see you have a book with you. I'm excited about you and I chatting today about what? Mental toughness.
Yes.
And sports and all things. I know we've done a lot of podcasts on sports because our life kind of revolves around them in many ways. But, I'll just start with saying this for the audience out there. Most kids don't lose in sports because of skill. They lose because they can't handle pressure, right?
For sure, yeah.
And we see this all the time. Kids, they practice hard, but the moment that things don't go the right way, in particular in competition, they can fall apart mentally, right? Has that ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah. Plenty of times.
Like when?
I feel like in the sports we play, playing golf and tennis, they're very, very highly mental sports.
Verily. You've been reading the New Testament.
Yes, I have. Verily, verily, I say unto you.
You're funny.
Anyway, they are very mentally, like tough and pressureful. And I feel like, especially like when I know that there's a lot at stake doing like a tennis match or whatever, I know that winner takes all, or it qualifies you for the spot on the team, or even if you're undecided, it could potentially matter for your spot, right? I feel like those are times that I've like allowed myself to like let my posture get off or let my mind get off and therefore spiral down and not win.
Sure. So it's like, in a more specific way, it's like missing a shot you wouldn't normally miss.
Right.
And then double faulting, let's say, just something that isn't usual, but if your brain is focused on the big picture of what could go wrong, it makes it amplified, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so, okay. Well, so what have you been learning from all this?
I've been learning a bunch of things. I feel like, so this book has 77 lessons in it, and they're like pretty short lessons, but I'm on 17 only, but for the record, I started 3 days ago, so doing pretty good. And a lot of the things in here are teaching us what you guys have already taught us around sports, whether it's like discipline or like the intangibles, or working on you and making sure that you're bringing the best attitude and different things like that can, help you in your game and help you succeed without being the most talented or the most skilled. Mm-hmm. But I feel like one of the parts that I've been struggling with recently, and this book has really pointed out to me in like a really, really straightforward way, is success is uncontrollable, but excellence is controllable. And what they mean by excellence, they say excellence is not about perfection. It's about giving your best with the tools you have. It's about stretching your boundaries, pushing your limits, and giving your best effort. Setting a standard of excellence in your everyday habits, routine, and actions is how you achieve success. Whereas sometimes I view success as playing well or getting better, having my skill be better. It's really about the process getting there is how you should value yourself and how you should value your game. And so I feel like that's one of the biggest things I've been learning.
Yeah, we just had a great conversation with you girls yesterday before the Twins had a match yesterday. You did not, but they had just played the day before, and they came off a great tournament. You guys all played a really great tournament, 33 schools, Capital Classic. It was awesome. I know you went all the way to the finals in your bracket and then lost in the finals. And then the Twins actually won their bracket as a doubles team. And, but they played so good. And then 2 days later on Monday.
Yeah, 2 days later.
They played almost like a different team. There was just a lot of pressure. We hadn't beat that school. They're like kind of a rival school, hadn't beat them in a while. So their match mattered. And so Mom and I were saying, given little bits of advice about being aggressive and we try to encourage you guys to ask us questions when you don't understand something, right?
Right.
It's not always easy to do because sometimes you don't know what question you want to ask. But Abby was good. She was a little confused. She's like, okay, so you guys are telling us to go out there and be aggressive, but also, when do we make the choices to not be too overly aggressive, which could create potential mistakes?
Right.
And then that could be a bad strategy for the game. And it was a great question because if you're not sure about what your strategy is, then you're going to play hesitant.
You're playing kind of randomly.
You're going to play randomly. You're going to question if you're doing the right thing. Then you can't be free. Confidence is not at a 10 out of 10. And so we had to explain what we mean by actually going and winning, right?
Right.
And that winning really isn't about the score at the end. Winning to us, we have to reframe this in our minds, is more about, did you give your absolute best effort in every way that you possibly could for the entirety of the match? And if you did that, the rest will work itself out. But you have to focus on that being success versus what the score is, because you're going to face people that are maybe better than you currently. But if you play your best against them, you will improve.
Yeah.
And eventually you will ultimately beat them. But if you don't think that way, then what happens, and I've seen this a lot, even, it's like you play like a different player every time that you face a different opponent, right? So you play a weak opponent, and now you don't even play hard. So you don't improve at all.
Right.
In fact, you might get a little bit worse because you start picking up some bad habits. Or if you play a really good opponent, but you're so hyper-focused on the scoreboard at the end that you give up, a third of the way in. And you start, see what I mean? Like, there has to be this effort that's put in of trying to do the best I can with where I'm currently at so I can continue to improve. And if you do that, you walk off the court every single time knowing that you won.
Absolutely.
Right? So anyways, okay, what else are you learning?
I feel like there's a bunch of things, but I was playing in my Capital Classic tournament, and I lost a couple the first day and then came back and started winning a bunch of matches, and I was feeling really good about the way I was playing. And then I had to sit and wait for my finals match for a while. And then when I finally got back on court, I was so ready to just be done. And so I was playing, doing my best, and it was we were both such pushers. So we were going back and forth 20, 30 ball rallies, and I was trying to outlast her, but realizing that the way I was playing wasn't working. I tried to change my strategy a lot. And I tried to change things up and started not really playing me. Even though the effort was there, the hard work was there, I started not playing like I'm supposed to play. So when I got off the court, I had known I had tried my best, but the outcomes hadn't worked out. And so I thought that was a reason to not be proud of the way I'd played and to, beat myself up about not winning. Because, I'm very goal-oriented, very success-oriented person, and I wanted to win. I wanted to wear that medal, right? And so the next day or so, I was kind of thinking about what should I have done differently. But then I finally came to a realization that the effort I put in was the best part of what I learned and what I could do. And so it said, being too fixated on outcomes takes our attention away from what it takes to be successful. In other words, our focus should be on the everyday process, not on the outcome. And so when I focused on the outcome, I started thinking of, well, maybe I'm just not good enough. Maybe I don't deserve to win. Maybe I just can't. I'm unable to win because my skill isn't there. But working through my intangibles and working with what I can, I'm going to keep improving that way. And even though I lost to the person, I can beat her eventually because I'm going to keep going in that mindset. And so I feel like really switching my mindset to that has been really helpful for these last couple of days.
But it's legit tough. I mean, you were pretty down that night. I hadn't seen you that down in a long time, right? And I think it's a combination of just a very long tournament. First of all,
right?
You're physically gassed, emotionally gassed, and that's part of it. Everybody has to go through it, but it does affect you. But that night, though, I mean, I hadn't seen you be in a position where it looked like you were questioning your ability of how far you could go. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, this isn't my Crissy, But it can happen to any of us. That's why you got to be surrounded by some good people who can, kind of wake you up when you're getting yourself in a little bit of a funk. Because sometimes you get your own funk, and you don't even know you're in your own funk, you know. And then I know that, you and I had a good conversation out in our deck, sitting out in the sun and just talking this through, and I was giving you some examples of things that I have to do sometimes, especially when my mind gets in too big of a swirl, and it can be because a business thing didn't work out, or I don't know, at this point, it could be some investment that I put money in and you lost a bunch of money, and or somebody disappointed you pretty heavily, and or it could be one of the endeavors that I'm building and it just isn't where I thought it would be at a certain time. And you can start really, getting down and start thinking, gosh, what's the deal? And almost you can almost go from like a sad time to almost like a victim type of a thing, or just a convincing yourself that you're not good enough, or see all that stuff. It like starts working on your identity.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to be really, really careful of, because, and so one of the things that, there's a couple things that I had learned from some mentors in my life in the past when I was down and I was having conversations and just being really open and honest about where I was. And one of them was, that really kind of shook me. I've never forgot it. It's the idea of, I had one guy, I was like in tears, I was just trying to build something and it wasn't working, and felt like it was going backwards, and I was doing everything I felt like I could. And he's just like, are you done? And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
He's like, no, seriously, is it over yet? Like, are you done? And, I'm starting to get a little bit almost angry.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just opened up my heart to you. But he's like, listen, I just need to help you with something. The biggest problem you have right now is that XYZ isn't working out. Okay. All you have to do is go keep going and put in some effort and, have the right attitude. But there's some people that just woke up in a hospital bed because somebody hit them and ran a red light, and they'll never walk again from the waist down. And they're just learning this. Right. I mean, which problem would you rather have?
Right.
Or somebody just got a phone call that somebody they love just got, killed somehow. Which problem would you trade for? I heard somebody say recently that if you could take a room of pretty much any room you're in, if you had a hat out and everybody put their biggest problem in the hat, would you be willing to take the chance of putting your hand in that hat and trading?
Right.
And it just kind of brings it back to, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The big picture, I love it. One of the things that I was reading, I have a friend who wrote a book called High Agency, which you should read at some point. But it was talking about resilience, and how there needs to be an allowance for emotion when something happens. So, and it kind of detailed it like this: like, you should categorize these things so you know what is the right way to allow yourself to kind of grieve a moment, right? And the first one was like, if it's a very minor setback, maybe you give yourself, that could be like double faulting in an important part of the match. That would be a very minor setback, right? Maybe you allow yourself 5 seconds, right? 5 seconds to be upset, to be like, to be sad, but then you don't let it happen beyond that. Like you physically and emotionally say, I'm not thinking about this anymore. I'm back to my plan of playing the best I can at any given moment. Give yourself 5 seconds though. Some people try to give themselves nothing, and then it bottles up. Maybe it's a middle of the road setback. That could be something like, in this example, it could be something like you didn't make the district's team, right? Well, maybe you give yourself half a day, to kind of be upset about that. But then you move on and like, how do we learn from this? How do we grow? If it's a bigger setback, maybe you give yourself a full day, but there has to be some kind of a cutoff of how long you're going to stay in the pity party, right? And I'm not saying pity parties are bad, not necessarily the best way to say it, because it almost makes it like, well, I don't want to have any. Yeah. But you got to give yourself some permission. You just have to have a cutoff. See, to me, I need structure like that. I need to know that, okay, whatever it is, I'm playing a big basketball game and I miss an important shot. What is that? Is that minor, middle of the road, major setback? And then how much time do I allow myself, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like that's also really important, because I could sometimes go to the other extreme thinking I have no time to think about it, right? Like, so you
don't let yourself decompress at all.
At all, right? So like if I double fault, like you said, in the middle of a really hard game and I lose the game maybe, and I would just be like, okay, moving on, like not even thinking about it. But then the next time I double fall, it gets worse. And the next time I make a mistake, it gets worse. And then all of a sudden you start spiraling because you never got to decompress it and never got to actually allow yourself feel the emotions. And so I feel like that's also really big, like making sure you do give yourself that little time, but also having a cutoff, but having a balance of both is like important for growth.
It's interesting too, because your personality type can tend to take you a certain direction. You know, I feel like even like Bella, she can tend to go into the almost, she needs more of a kick in the butt to get out of a funk, right? Because she'll allow herself to get into one. But like you just said, you won't even allow yourself to have any. So then you kind of fight through it, but eventually it catches up.
Right. Like, so like for Capital Classic, I played like 7 or 8 matches in 2 days, and I never allowed myself to decompress at all during that period of all those matches.
That's probably why it all built.
That's why it all builded at the end. And everyone's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I haven't allowed myself to be sad for 2 days. And I've had a lot of setbacks.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when it all built up, and then you had to talk to me like, come on, get out of it, you know? And so I feel like when I allow myself to do that, it gets so much worse by the end that it's harder to get out of it. And so like making sure I am feeling it during the match, but then moving on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good though. You know, so like you just learn from that, you know what I mean? And one thing I appreciate about your mentality is you always do allow like input from us to help you get out of it. And then, you know, even I told you, I said, as much as you probably at first didn't necessarily want to do it, I'm like, instead of a book that's kind of fun to read right now, let's get in the mindset book because it's going to be so applicable.
Right.
Currently.
Right,
so you're going to learn more than just basic success principles. You're going to learn like, oh, how do I manage this right now? You know? So anyways, we got another part coming. So if anybody's out there and you are raising an athlete and you are listening to or seeing this, we are currently building something specifically around mindset, discipline, and leadership in kids. So just message us or comment family when whatever platform you're on, and we will connect with you. Okay, see you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for listening and thanks for your love and support. We hope that today's episode added tremendous value to you and your family. It would mean so much to us if you would partner with us on our mission of helping parents around the globe raise champion children in this crazy world.
To do so, simply take a moment to like and share this podcast with everyone in your network. See you next time.